Hi everyone. Thanks for watching my video. From now on, I'm going to show my face. This video, I'm not, because I think telling my story with a narcissistic sociopath, I just want to lie here and tell you my story because it's so significant and in my recovery to just let it all out just with my heart, and I'm very comfortable laying in bed, and it's kind of weird laying in bed with the video up in my face. But from the videos I make, for the videos made in the future, I will definitely be upfront with my face. And I'm so looking forward to sharing my experience with a narcissistic sociopath. Now, how do I know that he's a narcissistic sociopath? I don't know that for a fact. He was never diagnosed. But, however, I talked to 3 therapists, actually 2 therapists, 1 psychologist. I don't know if that makes a difference, but and they all said he sounds like a narcissistic sociopath. And the research I've done for the last 4 years on domestic violence and the traits that are in woman abusers. Now, there's a difference between a woman abuser and an antisocial abuser, narcissistic abuser. And trust me, they're all bad. They're all toxic. You should stay away from them. All of them. And I will go over the red flags and the insidious tactics and the traits that you should look out for. I'm here to help other people prevent this from happening to another woman or man. Because these people will come into your life and they will be nice. And then they will slowly deteriorate your self-esteem. They will point out every flaw that you have. Every little cat hair on your shirt. Every little stain on your shirt. Every little piece of hair on your shirt. The way you drive. The way you brush your hair. The way you park. The way you dress. Everything is a problem. And nothing will be good enough. They will come in your life and they will be nice, but it will soon become scathing criticism. And it will lead into other things, other types of abuse, whether it's physical, mental mind games, verbal abuse, financial abuse, and sexual abuse. Now, my story is a little different from the others on YouTube. Number one, I don't hear a lot of violent narcissists on YouTube. But that doesn't mean that they're not out there. They're out there. They're out there. And most batterers are sociopaths, psychopaths, or narcissistic. Not all, but a lot of them. And they are cunning and they will destroy your life. That's why it's important that we get out these videos. And I'm speaking from the heart. So if I repeat myself, I apologize. But I will get into my story. And it's a heartbreaking story. I'm still 2 years out and I still cry daily. Let's just put it that way. And it hurts. And that's why you have to go no contact. No contact because we need to move on. We need to heal. We need to build healthy relationships. We need to, build healthy relationships with our family, friends, new friends, and hobbies. We can't contact these narcissists or sociopaths because they feed off that. They feed off of it. And they will take advantage of that. My ex thought when I contacted him that I wanted him back. And that I was in love and that I was crazy and that I belonged in a mental institution. And they will make you insane, though, with their mind games. They will make you insane with the mind games and the gaslighting. They will do something and then they will deny it and they will turn it on you. Or they will tell you 10% of the real story, but 90% is false. So you're questioning your reality. And things just become insane. So when he told me that I belonged in a mental hospital, I actually questioned that because I really thought I lost my mind. They will make you need professional help. They will make you feel like you are the crazy one. When in fact, we are fixers, now maybe I shouldn't say we. I'm going to speak from, I'm a fixer. I want to make it work. But sometimes it's better off to just let it go. You see that first red flag, you better run the other way. You see that first mind game, you better run away. You see those little criticisms, you better run away. Nobody wants to be walking on eggshells all the time, waiting for the next criticism. That's no way to live. And these are early on red flags that I saw, but I didn't listen to my gut. There's a few things I would like to go over, but I'm going to tell you my story first. I met my narcissist sociopath, or narcissistic sociopath in November of 2015. And it was sad when I think about it, because I'll tell you why it's sad. Because I met an illusion. I met a man that was a nice person at the time, and he was normal, and he talked to me like he was normal, and he talked to me with respect and dignity, and he was a very nice guy, and he, there was nothing off about him at first. The only thing is that his younger ex-girlfriend left with the baby. And he had a 13-month-old girl at the time. And she left with the kid. And so here I am. I start hanging out with this guy. And everything is good. I would say the first month or two were great. I mean, we hung out in his house. He cooked a lot of meals. We listened to music, watched TV, movies. We had a lot of fun. But after 2 or 3 months, I would actually say 2 months, he started to act differently. And I felt early on like I was walking on eggshells. And it was an uneasy feeling, like maybe he's going to snap. Now, early on, within that month or two, I was Googling, looking up abusive relationships. What are the red flags? Because I felt something was off. Something in my mind, something was uneasy, because I did his dishes one night and he told me that it wasn't good enough. And here I was, I froze, like I was intimidated by him. And I was walking on eggshells, and it was an uneasy feeling, like nothing was going to be good enough. I knew it right there. Like nothing I ever did would be good enough. And so I swept it under the rug and I moved along. So, there's little mini stories I don't want to get into, but things started to change. His personality drastically changing, and I knew that there was a disordered personality within 2 months. My older sister has borderline personality disorder, which is a cluster B personality disorder, which is in the same category as the antisocial personality disorder, which is just another word for sociopath, and narcissistic personality disorder. So it's very similar, and also a lot of domestic violence. Woman abusers are, not only antisocial and narcissistic, but they do have borderline traits. So when he started to get mad at me for the stupidest things, and the reactions and the looks that he gave me, it was just off. And it reminded me of my older sister. Like, it was a male version of my older sister. And my older sister was a devil. She bullied me all throughout, growing up. So, I know a lot about borderline personality disorder and the experience and the trauma from it. Living with somebody with that kind of personality disorder. So anyway, I move along a couple months. I noticed, things were okay. I noticed that he was talking to other women still, commenting on their photos, saying hot. And, or like, wow, it hurt. So I actually cut it off. And he got angry. Here he was seeing other women behind my back after 4 months. Now I know that we didn't make, a title of the relationship. But still, it still hurt. And I knew that maybe I should just cut it off. So that made him very, very angry. So before that happened, he did discard me. And then he came back a month later. We started seeing each other, and then I started, seeing that he was seeing other women, and so I discarded him. But then he came back a month later, and we started seeing each other again. But he was seeing somebody behind my back the whole time, this whole year and a half. the same girl that he eventually triangulated me with. But within this time period, the criticism started. Now, when you do research on a psychopath and a narcissist, you're going to find they're going to start criticizing you. It's a control thing. They want to take control of you. It's a power and control thing. They will put you down to take away your self-esteem, to weaken you. So when the real abuse happens, you're going to think it's your fault. And you're going to go back and try to prove yourself. It's a tactic to keep you connected to them. They want you at their supply at all times. They call you this. They call you fat, ugly, stupid. Well, you know what? The victim or the survivor will go back and prove themselves. Look, see, I'm good enough. But then that's how they stay attached to the narcissist. That's why that right there creates the trauma bond and the Stockholm syndrome. What narcissists, psychopaths want, sociopaths, they want power and control. That's why a lot of these abusers, they financially abuse. It's all about power and control. So the second Hoover, I come back. Now, at this point, I don't know, but he's seeing someone behind my back and he's saying, oh, it's just a friend. So here I'm thinking it's a male. But it was a female and they were having sex, and eventually, you know, I always walked on eggshells with him. And I think the verbal abuse started to happen in the summer of 2016. Full-blown verbal cruelty where the devil came out. I've never seen anything like it, except for my sister. But this was more scary because he actually looked like a demon. And out of nowhere, he would just verbally, like, assault me. And if I stood up for myself, he would punish me by cheating or eventually physical abuse. If I stood up for myself ever, he would punish me by cheating usually. If I did anything wrong, he would cheat. It was his way of telling me that I wasn't good enough. But all this verbal cruelty, I always stood up for myself. And one time, he chased me down the stairs, like in a horror movie, I felt like. And he punched me out on his front lawn. And he choked me. And that was one of the times in the summer of 2016 that he assaulted me. But the first time was in July of 2016. We were just sitting there, like, talking. And out of nowhere, he said, "Get the fuck out of my house." He goes, "Get the fuck out of my house." And he says, "I haven't killed anyone yet." And he took my hair and he ripped me off the couch. And he threw me across the room. And he ripped my sweater, and I had a bruise on my arm and my scalp. Like, you know, when your scalp feels like it's been bruised, like when you touch it, because of him pulling my hair. And here I was, telling this guy, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? I don't know what I did wrong. I was just sitting here. And so at this point, I'm blaming myself because this man deteriorated my self-esteem for 6 months by his scathing criticism. Nothing was good enough. Nothing I did good enough. I did his dishes for 2 hours once and nothing was good enough. So at this point, my self-esteem was nothing. It was basically destroyed with him seeing other women on the side, flaunting it in my face. So, so here comes the next assault. About 2 weeks later, I go over his house. He starts with the verbal cruelty out of nowhere. You're a fat, ugly, stupid slob. And I don't like you. And it was out of nowhere. Like, and he would get mad at me if I didn't eat everything on his plate. Like, that he cooked and I cooked. And I ate everything that I cooked, but I had a little bit of the pork and I didn't eat all of it. And he was like, don't fucking disrespect me. Also, that was another red flag early on. We went out to dinner and he yelled at the waitstaff and he said, stop disrespecting me with your food. He started screaming at the waitress. That was a huge red flag. I didn't follow through with my gut. So this assault was, he started calling me all these names because I guess I didn't eat all the food on my plate. And so I stood up for myself. And then he started chasing me down the stairs. And then he punched me out on his front lawn and choked me. And the next assault was 2 or 3 weeks after that. He poured air freshener all over my head now this was a full-blown rage, like the first one time, like a full-blown rage. I've never seen somebody rage like this. I've seen people lose their temper and rage, yes, but this was a monster, a devil-like rage. I've never seen anything like it. And he took all the stuff and he poured it all over my head. And so, and then he took a knife out and he started to flaunt it in my face, and I basically was so scared. I'm sorry, I just lost my thought because I remembered something. And when he flaunted that knife in my face and he says, I have control, I remember about the sheriff's department right now, the story. We're going back a few months before the sheriff's department came to his house to seize all his knives because he was getting a restraining order from the ex before me. And so it was early on in the relationship. So when he told me, oh, she's just immature and she's just crazy, I actually believed him. But at this point, I was like, wow, this guy is crazy. But I will tell you that I was under a spell with him. I've never felt like that with anyone. I felt like I was under a spell, like I was addicted to him. And I never felt like that way with anybody else, you know. And so when, you leave and you go back, you leave, you go back, you kind of become addicted to them like a drug because things are good for a while and then it goes to shit. And it's kind of like a drug. So fast forward a few weeks after that assault, I find out that he's seeing 2 other women behind my back. The one that I talked about before, that he was seeing this whole summer, and another girl, homeless girl. And nothing against her, but he dumped me for this homeless girl. He discarded me. And I was really heartbroken. Even after all the assaults, the verbal abuse, I still felt like, why am I not good enough? Because you have to understand the whole process. Like, if he did this to me now, I would say, oh, go ahead, because my confidence is high, like I wouldn't care. But at that point, my confidence was in the garbage. That's why, because they deteriorate your self-esteem. So fast forward when, a month after the discard, I was so upset. I get an email from him saying that to call him, that this girl stole all his money. Come to find out, she went to court to get a restraining order against him because he was threatening her with knives, bats, and I think it was a pipe. So she slept on the couch with a pipe because she was scared. If you saw this guy, he's not only evil and dangerous, he looks like a devil. He looks like a demon. And it's pretty scary. Now that I look back on it, I wish I could show you the picture of him. Maybe I will. I'm not going to say his name. But, so, fast forward, he comes back. She goes to court with the ex for the child's custody to say that he's too dangerous. This homeless girl went to court with his ex to say to the judge, he's too dangerous to have the child. So he gets put on, what are those called? He loses custody of his kid. And he loses overnights. He gets supervised visitations. So here I am, like a dumbass. I'm back, like we all are. We believe these guys and girls' manipulations, and they're so good at bringing us in. And let's start with the cycle all over again, right? Now, at this point, I don't trust him, but I'm willing to give him a chance. So here I am. I go over there, and he holds my hands. And he told me that he was so, so sorry for letting, for, leaving me for this girl. So he holds my hands, not knowing that he was doing this to another girl behind my back the next night. So any night that I did not see him, he was seeing this other girl. Eventually, we found out about each other, and he started to triangulate us against each other. And basically, we were fighting against each other for him. And he basically liked the attention. And he basically, if he was abusive to her, she would leave. He would call me up, vice versa. It was like a mind game. Huge mind game. Like we were interchangeable. Like we were some kind of game or entertainment. So on to this part. Gosh. So I go back. Everything is okay, for a while. But things get worse. and things get worse real quick. Now, he starts, like if I'm laying in bed, starts throwing me on the ground, choking me. That was his huge thing. He was huge on choking and grabbing the neck. And so, here I am being assaulted, being verbally assaulted, physically assaulted, and triangulated with this other woman. Like it was a huge game. So, and I was weakening, not just my self-esteem, but my whole being was weakened. It was really scary. I was deteriorating. My looks, my inner peace, my work performance. I was a mess. I was being destroyed by this man and the mind games. If you listen to Patrick Frazee, the man that killed his fiancée in Colorado, his ex wrote a diary about him and called him a monster, and the mind games that he did to her destroyed her. And then she called him a psychopath. When she said all of this reminded me of this man. The mind games that these people put you through will destroy you. It will change your brain chemistry. It will cause so much trauma to your being. That's why these people are so dangerous. This is so dangerous. That's why there's a huge epidemic of this on YouTube. It's finally coming out because people lose their lives because of this. Not just murder, but suicide. People end up in mental institutions because of this. And I almost was one of them. He told me that I belonged in an asylum. He told me I belonged in a mental institution. Oh, right. Like, at the end I did. And after, in like the recovery, I did. But never in my life was I crazy like this. And this is a man, I'll get into more detail at the end because I would like to go over some things. But he finally, at the end, after all this abuse, triangulation, gaslighting, verbal, physical abuse, he, and the death threats, that came at the end. The death threats started at the end. I really thought I was going to be murdered. I really did. Things were escalating, and I stopped going over there because one night I went over to his house or his apartment, and he had a knife between the headboard and the wall. And so I never saw it there before. So I took it as a threat. I was scared. I was like, this guy is going to take this down. And you know what? He did. He did. He put it to my stomach. It was a 12-inch rainbow knife. And he's absolutely insane. And then he told me that to give me my phone, and that he wasn't going to choke me. No, he wasn't going to beat me up that night. He was going to choke me to death or splatter my brains all over the wall. Now, I knew at that point I was going to get out of there. I said, I'm getting out of here and I'm not coming back. And somehow I talked him out of it and I got out of there, and I never went back. Did I stay in contact? Yeah, once in a while. He tried to get me over there by, saying that he was going to commit suicide. He was on the tracks, but I called the police and the police went over there. So What I want to talk about now is what happened before my story, because there's an ex and then now there's a new girl now. The girl before me, who has the baby with him, has a 10-year restraining order against him. He broke her eye sockets, nose, hands, fingers, and stabbed her in the head with a fork while she was breastfeeding. And he choked her unconscious, and I think it was 4 years of violence. And I think she said that he's crazy and that belongs in a psych ward or a jail. And that she said that there's 3 or 4 other restraining orders. And the homeless girl who went to get the restraining order said there was 4 or 5 restraining orders altogether. So there's a lot of, and then the ex before me, she said the police told her that this guy has a restraining order against every girl that he dates. So we're talking about huge red flags. I mean, that this man is going to kill somebody one day. Possibly maim somebody badly, physically. The new girl, he's been in jail twice. 2 or 3 times. I know that for a fact. For domestic violence. And now he's back out on the streets. And it's funny because you think it's you when it's going on, the abuse. But when somebody treats you atrociously, they treat everybody atrociously. And sometimes you can't take this stuff personally. I know it's hard to because it happened to you, but you have to remember that their disorder is not your responsibility. It's not you. I know we live with the trauma and we have to move on from it. And that's what we're doing. And I would say that the early on red flags that I avoided was entitlement. And walking on eggshells. And the reason why I say entitlement is a lot of narcissists, sociopaths, they're very entitled. And you'll see when they're building relationships with you, they're not about love. They're more about attention and adoration. I will sum up my ex like this. He wants somebody to be his punching bag. Take all his abuse, ask for seconds and thirds. But in return, he wants her to give him all the attention, adoration. He wants her to look up at her as a god. Why do you think the new girl was an ex-prostitute and a coke addict, and the other girl was a homeless girl, the actual girls that he brought in? And the new girl, he started beating her within a week. With these girls, they didn't have cars, money, anything, because he wants control. He wants to control them somehow. And he doesn't really want love. He wants adoration, and he wants his needs met, whether it's sex, chores, and they will exploit anyone. And I thought I was used as a middle girl, which I was. But everybody's used. Everybody's used. Because they just want somebody around for entertainment, for attention, for their needs met, whether it's sex, chores, their dishes done. And that's why I say entitlement. You're going to see a huge thing of entitlement. My ex thought, oh, well, he said he didn't really want a relationship commitment, but he's still calling me a lazy bitch because I'm not cleaning his dishes. and I didn't live there. They expect you to get on your hands and knees and do whatever they have for you, whether it's sex, chores, they will, they're entitled. They think they are gods. And so the reason why I think he's a narcissistic sociopath, number one, he basically idealized me, basically told me I was great in the beginning, and then went from that to scathing criticism, abuse, verbally, physical, mind games, to discard. Now, this happened 3 or 4 times. When I heard the narcissistic abuse cycle, I almost wow, that's him. An antisocial? Well, let's just see. He's violent. He doesn't care about the safety of others. He is violent against his animals. He actually beat his dog to almost death. But the vet had to put it to sleep. He set fires when he was younger. Now, this is all what he told me and his ex before me. I asked her. I confirmed it with her. I said, is this just me or did he tell you this too? And basically, I couldn't believe it because sometimes I said to myself, did he really tell me this? Because these are psychopathic traits. And so I definitely believe he's a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath. I don't know which one, and sometimes it just doesn't matter. He's an abusive monster. And before I said anything to his ex, she called him a monster and a devil. And so I basically have to learn every day how to cope with this. I'm still relearning how to live. This changed me forever. I don't really want to date right now. I don't think I'm going to be able to date for a few years. And that's okay. I learned to have boundaries. I learned the red flags of having a relationship. What's healthy and what's not. I realized that, some things are just not meant to be. So, and some things are not what they seem. Meaning, who I met in the beginning he's not real. That is not real. That's just an illusion. And that the discard is actually a blessing. Because why is it, and nothing against the new girl or any of these other women. I bet you they're very nice girls. But why is it that he brought her in, this prostitute, ex-prostitute coke addict who didn't have a car, didn't have much money, and start punching her within a month? Do you really think that's love? Do you really think that's love? No, it's the opposite. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And she's been back 3 or 4 times. And that's why we have to learn that these people don't deserve our time, our energy, our love. They need to be on their own. They need to be held accountable. They need to be left alone. They need to be face charges, and I don't mean just physical assault charges. I mean, literally destroying people's lives in an insidious way with their mind games. Now, people, like I said before, they lose themselves. They lose everything. Now, he didn't sexually or financially abuse me, but his ex said that he was financially and sexually abusive. But, you know, they destroy everything. So you're left with nothing, or you're left with them and you're basically under their control, and it's a miserable life. That's why we need to get out and stay no contacts. And sometimes I actually wasn't good at that at first, because I had such anger against this man that I would actually, out of the blue, email him and tell him off like I was some crazy girl. And you know what? It was crazy. And I look back and say, you know what? I should have handled it better. I should have just let it go and talked to my therapist or a support group about it. But, you know, they want our attention, whether it's good or bad. That's why they say no contact. But I want to let you know that that the three things, that there's three things that I want to go over, and then I'm going to end this video, that I saw in my ex that are very huge red flags of a dangerous predator, whether it's psychologically or it's physically. It's lack of empathy is one. When somebody doesn't really react like a normal person would with their actions, they don't feel embarrassed. They don't feel bad. You know, that's a very scary trait. Somebody who just does not care. They only care about their needs. And that goes to my next one, which is exploitation. Well, they're going to take advantage of others, and they're going to take advantage, and they will manipulate anybody to get what their needs met. And then they will throw them in the trash when they are done with them. And that's a huge thing with narcissists and sociopaths, is exploitation. They will throw anybody out like a tissue when they're done with them. And that's why people are suffering out there, because normal human beings don't act like this. My ex, who basically just used me for sex and chores, was an exploitation, and then he threw me out when he was done with me. I don't know anybody who would treat anybody like that. You know? And so when I was listening to the videos, that's a huge narcissistic, sociopathic move. They just care about their needs, and then they will throw you out like a piece of trash. And then my third is entitlement. Oh, they are the most entitled. I mean, my ex really thought I should be doing his dishes. About a week after I was seeing him, and I didn't even live there. I didn't even eat dinner or anything. But he just thought that I was supposed to just come over and do his dishes. And guess what? That wasn't good enough. Their entitlement, they can cheat on you, but you can't cheat on them. They believe that they can say whatever they want at any time. And they believe that they deserve special treatment, whether it's in a restaurant or at home behind closed doors. It's very scary trait. Entitlement is a very so, you know, those three things I would look out for. Those are three big things with predators. because they feel like they're entitled to treat you the way that they want. And it has long-lasting effects on people's lives. These people will come into your life and destroy it like a disaster, and then leave. It's like a hurricane coming in and destroying a whole island, and then going to another island, destroying that island. They just have a long list of victims. Like, every person that has gotten involved with my ex has either put him in jail, been to court with him. You know, he's not a nice person. This is a disgusting human being who uses and abuses women. And he also abuses men, but not as much. And abuses animals. So this is all I have. But next video, I'm going to show my face. And I hope that you could identify with some of my story. Maybe all, maybe some, maybe none. But I hope that I at least help somebody out tonight. So anyway, guys, please, my name is Claire, and please comment below. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't, but give me some feedback, whether it's positive, negative. I would love to hear your opinion. All right, guys, have a great night. Bye-bye.